When you see these 5 words on a screen, you might think of the beautiful rolling hills of the Shire, the wonderful music, the books that have inspired millions of readers, the deep and well thought out characters, or maybe you think of the over a dozen languages and various cultures that are explored in every page, every minute of each movie. But there's something else, something that we think of. We are Soulless Gaming, and today we're going to do one of our Soulless reviews. As 5 brothers who grew up in Arizona during the 90s and early 2000s, the only thing you could do back then, besides practice piano and do summer math assignments, was play video games. Today we're going to take a look at one of our family's favorite games, The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King for Nintendo GameCube. As with all our Soulless reviews, we're going to be grading each game according to 5 different categories and how well they've held up over the years. We're primarily going to look at how each game stacks up in terms of the graphics, the music, the gameplay, what type of reward you get for beating it, and then the nostalgia factor. Our Soulless reviews are primarily focused on old games, but we do occasionally post videos about newer games. Recently, we posted a Smash Bros. Ultimate montage, and we talked about the current state of the gaming industry. All of the gameplay you're about to see is from one of the brothers, so take a look in the top left corner to see who's playing. Without further ado, let's get started. To better understand The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King, we need to better understand the history of its development studio, EA Redwood Shores. You may recognize some gems from the EA Redwood Shores team, such as Cybertiger, Future Cop LAPD, and My Sims for the Nintendo Wii? Yeah, so I guess no award winners or anything like that. However, they did develop many of the Tiger Woods PGA Tour games, including one of our family's favorite games, Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2003. Later, when EA Redwood Shores was rebranded as Visceral Games, they brought us amazing games such as the Dead Space franchise. However, just after a few years, they were shut down. Many believe it was due to EA's push to deliver primarily multiplayer games, whereas Visceral Games primarily focused on single player. It's kind of funny because just last year EA released Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, a primarily single player game. Anyway, back to The Lord of the Rings. Releasing about a month before the movie of the same name, The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King released to much excitement. Releasing on November 3rd, 2003 to above average sales on Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 2, Game Boy Advance, GameCube, Xbox, mobile, and even Apple's operating system, it received several awards, including 2 different categories at the DICE 2004 Awards for the Outstanding Achievement in Character Performance for a Male for Elijah Wood's voice role as Frodo, we'll get to that later, and then also the Outstanding Achievement in Sound Design. Later in 2014, over a decade after the game was released, IGN included the game in their list of 5 best Lord of the Rings video games. And it even won one of the awards in our house for being the game we probably fought over the most when all of us wanted to play it. In 2003, The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King was an absolute masterpiece in the video gaming industry. Critics praised the graphics by saying, "It's an achievement in video games." Or, as one reviewer put it, "It's almost like we're watching the movie." From a few clips that I'm just showing you right here, you can already tell how absolutely groundbreaking and revolutionary the graphics were for its time. Wait a second. Did you see that? It almost looked... Hold on. Let's run that back.
Yeah, and this time I've got him. See? You see? Well, you don't see it? He moves! Right there! Wait! Right there!
Okay, so the game wasn't the spitting image of the movie, but it still looked pretty good for its time, and there weren't any technical difficulties that took me away from the gameplay. And in 2020, it might look kind of old and outdated because we have RTX, Unreal Engine just released their new update, and so it might look kind of choppy and muddy here and there, But in 2003 especially, this game looked great, and I think it still looks pretty good. There weren't ever any times where the graphics pulled me out of the experience. I didn't see a lot of frame drops. I did notice a few in the first few levels with all of the smoke and particles and all that going on. But besides that, the gameplay was great. Graphics didn't really hinder my experience at all. And I honestly thought it was pretty cool how the scenes would morph from movie and then go right into gameplay. It often didn't look too impressive because you could totally tell which was movie and which was gameplay. But at the same time, it didn't distract me enough to shout at my TV, "Man, this game has terrible graphics and it doesn't look good anymore." It was great, and I loved seeing that old, kind of semi-realistic vibe. The graphics gets 5 souls out of 5. We always had a saying growing up, you can't have a good video game without great music. I mean, think about some of the games that you've played in the past. How many of them had a bad soundtrack and you just couldn't attach yourself to the game? On the flip side, there are even a lot of bad or just average games that have great soundtracks. For example, I was playing Pokemon Sword, and the game is pretty good, but the music is amazing. And for Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King, because the game has all the rights to Howard Shore's music, the soundtrack is an absolute banger. From swinging Narsil, any of the barrow blades with the hobbits, or stringing an arrow as Legolas, the soundtrack will swoon over any Lord of the Rings fan, or even just a purveyor of excellent music. I did notice that there were times where the music would abruptly cut to the next piece. It was kind of weird. Take a listen.
Saruman, the time of unmaking is at hand.
I do like how when Gandalf turns the corner, you can see Isengard and it does this nice kind of growing sound. But it's almost like too abrupt right after that when it goes back to the normal music. Here's another instance that I noticed. In both instances, you can tell kind of when the music stops, picks a different track, and then tries to go back to the previous song. It just doesn't really make it very fluid. But at the same time, the music is great, and it didn't pull me out of the gameplay any time that it did this. We give the music 5 souls out of 5. The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King may look like a simple hack and slash video game, but really there's a lot more depth that goes into it. With each kill that you get, you're rated on a scale from fair to perfect, depending on the combos and the different enemies that you're attacking. At the end of each level, you get the opportunity to spend all of your experience points that you earned in that level towards upgrades for a specific character. So if I wanted, I could just upgrade Aragorn, or you can upgrade the entire team. I really like this system because it doesn't limit you to one specific tree. If you honestly just want your character to be good at shooting arrows, you can only upgrade the arrows. If you just want to press A the entire time, there's honestly a combo at the very end of the game that allows you to just tap A as fast as you can, and you can do a combo. It really leaves it up to the player, and I really appreciate that. There's something else that we need to discuss as well: parrying and perfect mode. These parrying moves are so cool, and when you execute it like in the middle of a battle and there's a bunch of enemies around you, and then you just turn around and you're in perfect mode and you do more damage, gain more experience, and overall just dominate any enemy, it's so much more fun, and I don't know why I didn't do it as a kid. Honestly, this game is so much fun, And if it just had parry moves, it'd be fun too, but there's so much more on top of it. As you go through the levels, you follow 3 different paths. You have the path of the hobbits, which is basically just Sam, and then Frodo at the very end. And then you have the path of the wizard, and then you have the path of the king, but you can pick between Aragorn, Legolas, or Gimli. The game honestly wasn't too difficult. I didn't really die a lot of times. The hardest place definitely was Shelob's lair. There are a lot of moments when you are caught off guard by orcs or by spiders, and there's this one maneuver that Shelob does where you just keep on getting smacked down every single time. So if you don't have enough health, then you're pretty much dead no matter what. But besides that, the gameplay was amazing. And it's honestly a game that you could just pick up and start playing and just have a great time. It doesn't matter if you had just finished it or how old you are. It's a great, great game, and I highly recommend it to anybody. The gameplay gets 5 souls out of 5.
Well done, you finished the game. But not really. You've just unlocked all these other characters.
So at this point in the video, you might think that we're going to give everything a 5 out of 5 rating. And that's where you're wrong. Honestly, I think this has to be the weakest part of the game in our opinion. Although it is fun to earn these rewards, you don't really feel rewarded as a player. As you progress throughout the story, you'll unlock videos and commentary from the movie's cast. Once you beat the game and you throw the ring into the crack of doom, or I guess if you throw Gollum, once you throw Gollum into the crack of doom, depending on how you look at it, you unlock a few different things. First, and honestly most exciting, you unlock 4 new characters. You get to play as Merry, Pippin, Frodo, or Faramir. And you get to do it on any level. So if you want to play as Faramir in Shelob's Lair, or Legolas in, I don't know, in the Crack of Doom fighting against Gollum, you can do that. Second, you gain access to all of the secret codes of the game. I feel like in the GameCube and Xbox and PS2 era, almost every single game had a way to put in secret codes. And I really like it. I think if you already have played the game, then it makes it easy to go back through, which I didn't use any codes playing through this, by the way. But it does make it kind of fun once you've beaten the game to kind of go back through, level up some characters and things like that. So up until that point, I hadn't used any secret codes. Third, you unlock commentary and videos from a few of the actors. And fourth, you unlock the Palantir of Saruman, which is like technically the 14th level of the game. And it's a difficult wave-style level that has you facing against 20 different waves of enemies that range from just normal ghosts, and then ghosts with shields, urukai, and then even to trolls and spiders. It honestly wasn't too hard up until about level 17, and then it kind of takes a twist and it gets pretty difficult. It is fun to hear a lot of the commentary, and as a Lord of the Rings fan, it was really cool to hear the hobbits and kind of see their take on each other in the game and different things like that.
Well, Elijah's a pretty good gamer.
The best player would be Elijah.
Well, this is where I get to pat myself in the back. I'm definitely a better gamer than the two of them.
And plus, you get to make some of the cast dreams come true.
Yeah, take Pippin to Pass of the Dead. Let's see what would happen if he went there. Let's have some fun. They're an endless tide!
But I really wish there would have been more. We're going to give the reward category 3 souls out of 5. In the gaming community, we tend to talk about nostalgia a lot. We often will play games that bring back memories of the good old days, or even those outside of the gaming community can relate to listening to music or watching movies that remind us of simpler and easier times. This is honestly primarily why we wanted to grade the nostalgia factor of these games. How well does this specific game transport us back to when we were kids? Well, for me, I tend to be taken back when I hear certain sounds, so here are a few sound bites that took me back to the mid-2000s when I was originally playing this game. By the way, Elijah Wood won an award for this.
That's how he talks.
Honestly, the nostalgia factor is great in this game. I don't know if it's because of the music or because I grew up watching all of the Lord of the Rings over and over again on the weekends, but it just hits all the right notes. We're going to give the nostalgia factor 5 souls out of 5. The world that J.R.R. Tolkien created over a century ago while fighting in war-torn Europe has captivated millions over the years. It was a joy to relive my childhood playing The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King for Nintendo GameCube. With a total of 23 souls, we absolutely recommend that everybody play this game if they get the chance. If you find it on eBay, buy it. If you own it and it's hiding somewhere in your house, pull it out, fire up the GameCube, and let us know what you think. Going forward, we would love to see this game remastered in all of its glory. It doesn't necessarily need a remaster, but it would be amazing to see a game that has all 3 books in it and uses the same mechanics, but just with updated graphics and maybe online co-op to make sure that it's 2020 compatible. With the recent announcement that Amazon will be making a TV series based on Tolkien's books, we feel like this would be a perfect time to bring the game back. Once again, thanks for watching Soulless Gaming, and be sure to leave a like and comment down below what game you'd like to see us review next. It really does help out the channel.